In today's video, we're going to be recreating this website you can see right here with this smart contract and all the links active, social links active, and also we have this gradient effect on our text. So if you want to learn how to style websites like this in CSS, please sit back and watch as we build this project together. Hello and welcome to today's class. We're going to continue from where we stopped the last time and basically bring this website to life. If you haven't seen that video, please click on the link above and you can also find it in the description below, and that should take you to the video where we actually built the structure of this project we're about to build. So we are going to be building this project right here, and we've basically had the structure created, but now we just need to style it and get it to look just like this. So with this gradient text up here and this gradient background down here. So this is what our website currently looks like. I had styled it to a large extent the last time, but I deleted all of the CSS just so you can actually get to see what just so we can start the CSS all over again from the start. So we have a logo up here, we have the links, then we have some social icons down here. We have a fast blockchain, that's the text you saw earlier, scalable AI, then the paragraph text, and 2 buttons. So this don't do anything, these links have not been linked yet, so we could easily do that now. And yeah, basically that's it. So first things first, I want to come over to this the UI design and click on, this is usually going to be grouped, so just right click and ungroup it. I've done that already. So just right click on this, I can ungroup everything, but I need this design right here, this background gradient lines design. So I'm just going to select that, and just to be sure I'm clicking on the right file. Yep, okay, I am. So yep, click on that, come to the design section and just export that. So as you can see, that is exported. Add that to your SRC folder and we should be good to go. So basically we're going to switch over to VS Code now and go into the CSS. So the first thing I want to do here is basically import the font. So as you can see, they have a really nice font looking over here, which is called Cabinet Grotesque and Clash Grotesque. So they also have a Chillax font. These are all they're not Google fonts, so they are not free, but for the sake of this project we're just going to use Google font alternatives. So to do that, I went to Google Fonts, searched a little bit and found an alternative that seems close. It's called Cairo. So I've added that to my list over here. So all you need to do is just click on this section over here and you can add it to a list. So I added it 200, the light, regular, medium, semi bold, all the way to black basically, and click on the import section and you should be able to import it. So all we need to do now is just copy this, head over to our CSS and paste it there, and with that we've imported that font from Google Fonts, so using the Google's API. Alright, so first styling we want to do is going to be for the body. So we're going to target the body tag. So before we continue, I just want to take this moment to talk about CSS classes, right? Alright, so let's come back here and check this out. So when it comes to CSS classes, it's a bit tricky for beginners because when you look at this, you have a body, and if you notice, I targeted that body recently. I targeted it here and I didn't add a full stop to it. So something you need to understand is inbuilt elements in HTML don't need to be targeted with a full stop. So unlike the ones we actually unlike classes we give to them ourselves. So each time you write a class yourself, like the one we have in this div now called class link, to understand this HTML, please just go to the previous class, the previous lesson. Again, the link is in the description below. So to understand this class here, this class links we have here, we wrote this by ourselves. So we gave this div this class of links. So whenever we need to call this div, we have to put a full stop before it. So it goes something like dot links. That way it actually works. So if you make the mistake of not adding the dot to it and you just do a links, you're going to have an error. Even if VS Code doesn't warn you the way it has warned me here and not making it yellow as it's supposed to be because it's not finding it, you will notice that a lot of the styling you're doing on your web page is not actually being applied because you are not referencing it properly. Another one is by ID. So when you have a class, when you have an ID for a page, and let's just call this icons. So when you have IDs in your divs, in your div element, when you have an ID in there and you want to style that ID instead of the class, so you call that with a hash sign. So you go with a hash, then icon, and yep, it references it, it's finding it. So if you notice, the color is orange, so it can find what we are referring to. But if you do not do that, if you try to use a full stop for an ID, you're going to have an error as well. So I just thought to mention that too. Alright, that said, so firstly we want to give our body a display. We're actually not giving this a display, we just want to move every margin on it. Margin 0, and padding, give it a padding of 0 as well, and save that. The reason we are doing this is before we did that, I'm going to comment that out just so you see what I'm talking about. So save that. You'll notice there's a bit of space before the S. So after we do this, it just gives it what's it called? It just gives it extra padding and extra space that we do not need. So we want to eliminate that. So I'm going to uncomment this out, save that, and we'll go back. We've said our S is starting at the edge, which is what we want. It's not really what we want at the moment, but it just gives us the extra control of styling our document the way we want it to be styled. So we also want to give the body a background of black, background color of black. Save that. Then the color of white. So this color basically affects the font in the entire document. So the font color of everything in the entire document will be white. So if we save this and go back to check, we now see that we have a background of black and all our text is currently white. Alright, that done. So I want to give it a box sizing of border box. What this does is it removes every extra space that is created when we apply padding or margin. So if you don't do this, when you apply margin or padding, your box increases. So if you had a 100 pixel box, it increases by the amount of pixels you've added by to that margin or padding. You've added by adding the margin or padding. So that's what we're trying to remove. And with that, we're in a very good place to start styling our document. Alright, so now that we've styled the body, next we want to target this nav class, and this nav section currently has a few elements in it, which is the image element, the div element, and another div element. One has a class of social icons. We actually don't need this ID here because we won't be using it, so I'm just going to remove it. And then we have a class of social icons, links, and an image, which is basically the logo. So we want to target this nav element and we want to give it a background of black. That will become, while we are doing that, will become clear shortly. And then we want to apply a flex to this nav, which will affect this image, the links, and the social icons. I explained that a little bit in the previous class. You can check that out as well. So let's go into our CSS and let's target that nav. If you notice, I'm not going to put a dot before the nav. I'm just going to target the nav directly because it's an inbuilt HTML element. Alright, so I want to give this a display of flex. I want to save that. So what that does is it basically places everything side by side. So the three elements I showed you earlier, the logo, the div with a class of links and the other div with a class of social media icons. They're all side by side, even though this one, the div with the class of links, still needs to be positioned side by side as well. So we're going to do that next. So we'll leave the nav for now and just go down. So we'll do a nav. So we're targeting the nav, and we're targeting the class within it, which is links. And then give this a display of flex as well. And save that. So that should be side by side as well. Awesome. So a tiny trick you should learn when you're when you're working on your CSS and you want to see what you are affecting and how the things you are affecting are actually being if what you are trying to affect or the styles you are trying to apply to them, if it's working, is to always just give it a border. Give it a border of, let's say, 1 pixel and color of solid, and finally just give it a color of maybe whatever we fancy, basically. So I will just save this now, and we should have each of our links. We should have the link section, not each of the links within it, just the link section in orange. Yes. So next we want to target each of these links within, so we can space them out. So this time around, that's going to be the P within the links. So we want to do a nav. So basically we're telling it, look into this nav, and then within the nav, look for anything that has a class of links, and once you find that, look for anything that has an element of P. So anything that has element of P is going to be affected. So first P, second P, third P, fourth P, and fifth P, each of them are going to be affected. So let's fix that, and we'll just say P. So let's start by giving this a border. Give this a border of 1 pixel, solid, and just give it a green. I like this greenish yellow, and save that. So if this is done correctly, each of our links should have a green border around them. Awesome. So we're targeting that correctly, and next we want to give this a margin of 10 pixels, 10 px. Save that. Okay, so this is all spaced out now and it's looking really good. So next thing we want to do is the reason the logo is being stretched out is it's being affected directly because everything else has a div there within, but the image has nothing, is not within any div, it's not within a container. So it's basically taking the size of this nav bar. So that is not a problem. We can easily fix that by just we've given this the nav a display of flex already. So coming back into the nav, now we want to justify the content, center, and then basically what this does is it moves everything to the center. So it centralizes everything. And then actually we don't want to justify the content center. Let's space it out, space evenly, because I think in the design it was spaced out evenly. Yeah, so now we have it spaced out evenly, and then want to align items to the center, and we'll save that. Alright, so our logo is fixed now, it's no longer stretched because now it's aligned to the center and everything is basically in the same line. Serendale, the links, and everything else is basically in the same line. Okay, let's go back to design and look at the reference. So we have space on the left, we have space on the right, and these icons seem to be spaced out a little bit more, so let's do that next. And also let's apply our font to the links. So I'm going to come down here and just copy this font family from that Google has provided. Want the Cairo one, ignore the Lato, and go to our VS Code and just paste that in there. So within the nav, we want every text in that place to have a font family of Cairo sans serif, and the font size should be 18 pixels. 18 px. I didn't just make that up, I got that from the design. So let's just go back. First of all, let's see if this is done. Yes, it's starting to look good. We can remove our border now. That served this purpose. So save that and look at it one more time. Yeah, this is looking decent. And let's go back to the design and see the font weight. So click on any of the text, go to inspect, and the font weight for this is 400, but with 18 pixels, like I said earlier, I didn't make it up. So this is 400, but I think our font is a bit thicker, so I'm just going to go with 300. So in our CSS, we just want to give this a font weight of 300. 200 is even fine by me. Let me try 200 out. I like it. I like my fonts looking really thin. Awesome. So this is looking really good at the moment. They're not clickable, so we'll fix that. There are two ways to actually fix that and make it look like it's clickable. So the first is to come back here, add an A tag before the image. A tags basically make your text clickable. So, and close that tag. I'm going to copy this, Ctrl C, add a cursor over here. So the links should look clickable now. Yep. Alright, so going to the CSS, let's just create an A tag over here. Let's target the A tag and color, make that white. I don't want it to be blue, so I'll just make that white. And decorations, text decoration, none. Save that and we should be back. Alright, so it looks clickable, so do our links. GitHub isn't for some reason, but the others are, so I'll check what's wrong with GitHub. Let me go back here and see. Okay, GitHub doesn't have a href, so I'll just copy this, paste it here, and that should solve all that problem. Alright, going back to the CSS, we want to space out those icons, so we want to target social icons. So we're just going to go directly and target that within the, so we have the nav dot social dash icons. And we want to give that a margin of 10 pixels as well, 10 px. Save that. Let's go back to the HTML just to confirm it's social icons. Yes, it is. Alright, so go to our design. It should be spaced out now. It isn't for some reason, so let's go back to the CSS, give this a border, okay. So yes, we currently are targeting these social icons instead of the img within it, so that is my bad actually. So next we just want to target the dot or the img, straight up img. It's not going to be a dot because img is an inbuilt HTML tag, so this should solve the problem, and yes, it did. So this is why I love borders so much. And we can move that now. Save that, check this again. I think they are a little bit too far apart, so I'll just go with an 8 and save that. Okay, and with that we're basically done with our nav, and next we want to target our hero section. So we styled our nav, and everything from this point is currently styled. So now we want to target this section called the hero section. So we'll go back to our CSS. This is redundant, so I'm going to clear that out and start our hero section from here. So dot hero section. This should be a smaller case. I want to give this a display or flex. And I'll explain why shortly. It's going to put everything side by side. Yes, we don't want this, but we also want to align, want to justify the content center, and that only works with a flex document. So just to show you what I'm talking about, so I'm going to comment this out and say justify content center, align items center. Nothing is going to work because it doesn't have a flex property to it. But if we uncomment this and save that, it is going to work. But the problem is they are currently side by side, right? Which is not what we want. So next thing we want to do is flex direction column, and this solves that problem for us. They're back on top of each other and they are well aligned. All right, so we want to give this section a height property. The width is fine, width is automatic, so I like that. So I want to give the height property of 100 VH and save that. So that basically takes the view height off the screen we currently see. It's exactly what I want. But you notice if we try to scroll a little bit, our nav bar moves. It starts to disappear. I don't want that to happen. I need our nav bar to remain. So how I'm going to solve that is basically come back to our nav. First of all, I want to give it a position of sticky. And then where do we want to stick it to? To the top. So we'll give it a top of 0. So in codes, numbers start from 0 and go as high as infinity. So unlike in real life where the number starts from 1, when you're coding it basically starts from 0. So I'll save this and that should solve that problem. Now it's sticky, and even if I scroll this to the little bit it can, it's a background stays. So that gives us a new problem, which is just to give you a hint of what I'm talking about. So I'm going to create a new p tag over here. And you start to notice something. Our blockchain is above our nav bar, and even though it's close to disappear, it's basically interacting with it. Let's paste that one more time. Save that. So yeah, I don't know why anybody will ever have a web page like this, but you're starting to see the problem I'm talking about. So we need our nav bar to always be at the top, and also to have a little bit of definition so it's always visible, and even if you have a white text scrolling past it, it will always remain above. So let's fix that. Go to styles, and then we want to give this a background color of black and save that. So now it's always behind the nav bar, even though the entire document is black, but it's always going to be behind the nav bar. Awesome. So let's come back here and delete this p tag. We do not need it anymore. That was just to show what I just did. Okay, let's delete that and save this. Okay, we're back to where we started from. Oh, and one more thing you could do is also give, just to be safe, just give this nav a z index. So it's a layer system. Z index is a layer system where it puts this where it puts the number with a higher z index above others. So I'll just give this a z index of 1, so everything else that has a z index of 0 will be below it. All right, so yeah, so basically we are getting really close, and let's just see where we are at the moment. Okay, now let's compare. I think this is too close to the top, so we're going to give this a padding top of, let's say 30 pixels px. Save that. Okay, I think I like this better. Yeah, let's just do it 20. Let's do it 25. Okay, I think I like this. Alright, next let's style the H1. So within this hero section, we want to do the dot hero section and target the H1 within it. We have two H in there, so one is an H1 with a class of gradient, and the other one is H2 for the scalable AI. So the reason why we have this differently is because I would have usually used it in the last class. I used an H1 for both of them, but if we compare with the design, one of them has a gradient, the other doesn't. So in order to get this effect, we're going to need to separate them. We can't have them both having the same effect. So let's treat this one first. So let's inspect this and see what it has. So it has a font family of Clash Grotesque. We've made arrangement for that already. So it's normal size, the font weight is 500, and the font size is 80 pixels. So we're going to replicate this and give it a little bit of letter spacing of 0.02 em. So this is very important. Anyway, we can just easily copy out these codes. So copy that and go back to our CSS. Okay, so I want to give this a font family. Leave that for now because we're going to copy and paste that in there, and then paste everything else in here. Highlight all of this, press tab once, and you should put them in position. So we need the same font family we're using for this, which is Cairo Sans Serif. Copy that, come back here and just paste that in there. Save that, and that should start affecting. Awesome. I'm liking what I'm seeing. So yeah, we have this effect already, and we're going to do the same thing for the scalable AI, and that's basically it for the scalable AI. So we're just going to alt down. Okay, so do this for the H2. So the H2 is perfect now. H2 is basically perfect now. Give both of them a margin of 0. Just to bring it closer a little bit. Save that. Okay, loving this. Alright, so now we just need to give a fast blockchain the color it has. But before I do that, I want to import the background which we exported earlier. So going to the hero section, is going to be this is going to be where the background is needed. So we're going to do a background and use the URL, add a colon within it, dot slash. Go to your src folder and look for looper bg. Save that. Beautiful. So that's basically our background. And next we want to background repeat. We don't want it to repeat, so no repeat. Save that. Okay, this is starting to look like our initial design. We have different height of our web page, of course, but it's basically almost the same thing for now. So when we start the buttons, it should come closer to this, which is what you see here. Alright, so for this p tag, let's do that next. Start a p tag next. So want to do a dot section hero. You could easily just go with the p, but that will affect everywhere else that we have the p. So using this dot section hero basically tells it within dot section hero, target the p in here, and just change the font size to, let's see what they have here. This 20 pixels, but I think I'll go with an 18. I think 20 is too large. Font weight is 400. You know what, I just copy all of this. Font style is normal. Again, highlight this tab and give this a font family of Cairo as well. So just copy this. Come down and paste that in there. Save it. Go back, and yes, we have our font. Okay, so to centralize that, we want to do align text center. Sorry, text align center, and that should centralize our text. Beautiful. So we have a few more things to do before we complete this project, and that will be basically to give this a gradient and style our buttons. Okay, so let's do this first. Give this a gradient. So we're looking for the H1. To do this, we basically want to give the background the gradient. I want to give the gradient to the background, and then use a clip to clip the text. So here's how that works. So go to hero section. This is the H1, of course. H1 is a fast blockchain, and we want to go back to our design to copy the exact code they used for the gradient. So let's just go. Interesting. So basically everything you need is right here. So when you put this, it gives you the background of this, and then when you use this WebKit background clip and clip it to the text, so it's basically masks out the shape using the text. So the gradient now only remains in the text, but the problem is you have a few color covering it, which is white already. So you just make that transparent and you should be good to go. Let me just show you what that looks like before we add the other one. So just copy that and come to the hero section, paste that in there. So tab. So this is basically the same thing again, but this is for browsers that are still not. This dash WebKit is for browsers that are yet to support this what's it called? That are yet to support this CSS feature. So when the CSS feature is relatively new, they usually put this WebKit here for the background clip. So in case anything changes in development, so that every website using it will not have that problem. But as time goes by, if the CSS is standardized like it is here now, and the background clip is what it is, it's basically the same code, background dash clip for text, then they remove the WebKit and you cannot use it anyhow you like. But it's always safer to leave this experimental one here, just in case there are browsers that are still using it. But in this case we can remove it, but I'm just going to leave it anyway. So I'm going to comment out this transparent and save that, just to show you what I'm talking about. If you notice, nothing is happening, and that's because it still has this feel of transparent. So undo that, save, and then let's just copy this and put it back in there. Text fill color transparent. I know we're doing this twice, but it's just safer for browsers that are yet to start supporting this. And save that. Come back, and now it's appearing because we've removed the fill, which is white, that was covering the mask that we had earlier. So we just need to style our buttons now, and we should be good to go. This is looking really, really lovely. Okay, so next we want to target the buttons. So we have a few options. Hero section, button 1. That should be a dot button 1. Just to be safe, this is where I'm getting it from, not making it up. So we have our class of button styles. This is the div that is holding both of them. The reason why I have this here is to give 2 of them a display of flex, even though they appear to be flexed already, but it's always just safer because you don't know how it's going to behave in different browsers. So I'm just going to use that dot button styles, give that a display flex. Old habits die hard, so I'm just going to give it a border of 1 pixel and solid and red this time around. Save that, come in here, and yes, we have our red border around them. Beautiful. So since we're already targeting this dash button style, just going to copy that and use that instead of the hero section. So now let's give this its own code. We can basically affect for some of the things. Some of them share, the 2 buttons share majority of the they have majority of things in common, which is they are both the same size, they have the same padding, and they have the same border radius. So they basically are almost alike. The only difference why I have 2 different buttons is because of the colors. So an easy way to do that is basically to come to your CSS. What did I just do? Okay. So an easy way to fix that is come to your CSS button 2. So give it a comma, and then you can now start writing your code. So anything you put in here, they are going to both share. So I'll start off by just giving it a not a display, a size. You know what? Let's see the current size that is used for the design. So I'm just going to remember to ungroup this, usually grouped. So I'm going to see the width and the height. I just need the width and the height. So it's positioned absolute here because of the way the designer made this, but it actually really isn't because it's within a div and it's within a section. Okay, that said, let's go back and paste that over there. Tab. Save that, and let's see what that has done to our design. Beautiful. So if you notice, they are currently touching each other, and we need to give both of them a margin. Give a margin of 5 pixels, and save that. Okay, now they both have a border on them. Because the background is black, you won't see it, but buttons usually have a border. And just remove it and give it a none. Usually have a black border, so okay, remove that and give it a border of none. Awesome. Now let's give it both of them a border radius of 8 pixels. I didn't make that up either. I got it from the design too. Save that, and now it's rounded. Beautiful. Okay, so if we go back to the design, you can see the border radius in there somewhere. Where is it? Oh yeah, border radius 8 pixels. So the first one has a background color. It has a background of a linear gradient, so we're just going to copy that. It has done all the CSS for us, and this is why I like Figma. So we want to give this a background of blue and a text color. The text color is white, so we'll give that a text color of white. So let's do that. Now we can target each one separately. So .btn style .button 1, and now we can give them separate colors, a background of this and a color of white. So I'm going to duplicate this and rename that to button 2. So duplicate that and rename that to button 2. And let's see the colors for button 2, which is this background color. Liking that. This has the text of black. and the linear gradient, just paste that in there, and it should do all the magic for us. Something is wrong somewhere. We shouldn't be getting, okay, paste the background twice. Alright, so save that, switch to our design, and we should have exactly, everything should be the exact way we want it to be. And now we can move our border and save that. And yeah, so with that, we've come to the end of this CSS styling class. As you can see, everything basically works. So we could also add an href to this logo, and our links work. Our buttons our buttons are not clickable, of course, because we don't have a link in there, but yeah, you could do that as well. And with that, basically our design is ready, and I think it looks largely like the reference we were given, and I know you agree with me though. So yeah, not really that different. The fonts are different, but we nailed most of it. So yeah, thank you very much for following this class to the end. If you have any questions, please leave it in the description below, and we can get to that in our next class. So I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.